Great. So as folks continue to join in, I wanted to give everyone an overview of the agenda for today. Today is going to be more of a discussion and voting session. So it's a shorter meeting. Usually our meetings are 2 hours, but today it's just going to be 1 hour. We're going to begin with introduction and updates shortly with Stephanie's help. And then we'll move on to solely focusing on the draft recommendations that we sent out to all of the members. This is building off of our previous discussions, and then finally we'll end with public comment. Stephanie?
Would you like me to do roll call first?
Yes, please.
Okay. Senator Dawn Guile.
I'm here.
Thank you. Senator John Moutz. Delegate Regina Boyce.
Here.
Thank you. Delegate David Fraser Hidalgo.
Here.
Cindy Osorto.
Here.
Chanel Viator.
Here.
Thank you. Allison Breitenauthor, or her designee.
Hi, this is Nick Kurtz here for Allison.
Thanks, Nick. Richard Strong. Jason Asher.
Here.
Thanks. Rico Albuquerques.
Here.
Donna Edwards. Gerald Jackson. Jerry Williford. Sean Stracer.
Here.
Thank you. Casey Ross. Ryan Trolley.
Here.
Stephanie Johnson.
Here.
Thanks. Moira Cyphers. Mike Walsh.
Here.
Brad Phillips. Lynn Nash. Kimberly Haven. Jennifer Walsh.
I'm here.
Suzanne McCoskey. Colby Little. Tiffany Fisher. Larry Shiflett. John Hines.
Here.
Thanks. And Tanya Terrell. All right. Thanks everyone for bearing through roll call. I know we've got a lot of members. And then one other announcement we wanted to make. I know this group has talked a lot about registered apprenticeships and pre-apprenticeships, but last week, Governor Moore actually announced $23 million from the U.S. Department of Labor's Apprenticeship Building America initiative that will connect more than 7,000 job seekers to new apprenticeship opportunities. And we'll put a link in the chat so you all can read more. But essentially, this funding will help participating organizations recruit underrepresented Marylanders, which include women and people of color, to fill registered apprenticeship programs in Maryland's expanding industries, including healthcare, technology, and transportation. And so in the link, you can see a list of organizations that received grants. And Cindy and I really thought it was something that this working group would care for because, you know, we've talked about apprenticeships and workforce development, and some of the recommendations that you all will discuss today are about apprenticeships. So yeah, back to you, Cindy.
Great. Thank you so much, Stephanie. So We have a lot of really exciting work going on in Maryland, and one of the things that we are trying to do here in this working group is just kind of highlight some of the good work that touches the themes and the items that this working group cares about. So if you do have any particular kind of events or resources or updates that you want us to share out with your fellow members, please do so. The Maryland Department of Labor is one of our members, and so naturally, I thought it was relevant for this particular update to be shared out. For today, I wanted to first start off with just giving an overview of where we are today. Last time we met, we had a presentation from BGE, which is also one of our members, on geothermal pilot program that they're currently creating due to the passage of a law called the WARN Act, which I know some of the members here are well aware about. We had that presentation. It touched on some best practices regarding climate and workforce considerations. Then we moved on to talk about our study. We have a team at NREL who is going to be leading the study for this working group. And I'm just really excited to be working with them. And they're going to be coming back to this group again to further discuss some of the study specifics. But for, again, today, as we mentioned in the agenda, the focus is really the recommendations piece. At the start of this working group meeting, I mentioned there's two deliverables. One is recommendations for the Climate Change Commission, and the other one is a study. So the study conversations will be ongoing. If you do, by the way, if you do have ideas regarding the study, please send them our way. We are, again, doing the study for this working group, so we welcome feedback as we go along. But for today, again, the conversation is just the recommendations piece, and it is a little bit different this year just because we have new working groups under the Climate Change Commission. So naturally, we had to kind of adjust the Climate Change Commission timeline and process to better consider the new working groups. One of the new working groups being this working group. What all that means is that the all of the recommendations for all of the working groups that get approved per working group will be discussed and voted on by the commission in September. The meeting this is all on our website if anyone wanted to check it out. The meeting will be September 30th. And then there will be a second meeting October 7th. It's a great process to get involved in if you care about climate issues. You can attend as a member of the public just to keep track of the many other conversations going on, not just in this working group, but across the different working groups. We have, I had already done a Climate Change Commission History 101 during our first meeting, but we do have at least one new member attending today. And just for everyone's awareness, we have 8 total working groups under the Climate Change Commission. And the 4 original working groups were adaptation, mitigation, education, and science. And then the new working groups include energy resilience, energy industry revitalization, just transition, and solar PV and recycling. And we are at MDE, we are very lucky to be having support from UMD in supporting these new working groups. So with all of that kind of laid out regarding the recommendations and where we stand today, I'm wondering if any of the members have any questions. If there's no questions, we can move into and just jump into the draft recommendations language. Stephanie, can you please pull up the recommendations? All right, so we are now going to be initiating the consideration of each of these recommendations, many of which you've already seen before. The first recommendation here is that the entire Climate Change Commission moving forward should support the just transition principles that we have deliberated on over the course of months, those being the ones in front of you, the 6 principles here. We will initiate well, first, I'm wondering if anyone has any comments regarding any amendments, but really we're going to be initiating voting in favor of this recommendation.
Hi, this is Delegate Boyce. I still have an issue with the draft recommendation, this number 1, because what it does not mention is how we are looking to, and someone can correct me if it's maybe under one of these other dots, really talking about the current workforce and how we are working to view and create transferable skills, knowing what those transferable skills are from quote unquote fossil fuel industries to green industries. And so I don't see that type of language because I see identifying and eliminating structural barriers to employment. I just want to continue to emphasize that just transition was number 2, maybe about getting certain communities, and it's kind of like the green job industry, but it was really about transitioning current folks into these kind of new industry jobs. And that means that we have to really talk about what are those transferable skills. So it supporting transferable skills, supporting current people in those industries to transfer over into green industries.
Regina, would you happen to have a motion to amend one of these bullet points, perhaps to add quality, clean job creation and support for quality transferable skills?
Hold on, and it's, let me see, I'm gonna read it out loud. Transfers and its ongoing work of supporting climate change actions. I mean, I would certainly move to amend that there is a bullet point that says transitioning fossil fuel industry workers into green jobs.
And I'll second that.
I'll add support to that as well. And if there could even be language specifically stating current employees in fossil fuel industries are supported in the transition, that's clearly spelled out.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Thanks for that.
So we can either try to capture that, Stephanie and I, or Regina, would you like to make a motion in writing?
Sure, I can make that motion. I think Sean actually said what I was attempting to say a little better. And Sean, could you recapture that? You said it so beautifully.
Yes, ma'am. If we could ensure that there's protection for the workers currently in the working in the fossil fuel industry, that their livelihoods are protected in the transition to a clean economy.
We can probably shorten that just a little bit. I know it's a bit long.
Yeah, ensuring that fossil fuel workers currently in transition. You probably don't even
That would
need
be fantastic.
Does that capture what we were trying to say?
I think that last
Mm,
part
I
that
would,
you had about into the transition into the green energy probably did add value to someone who just is seeing it on its face for the first time.
and I think you can take out currently, ensuring that fossil fuel workers transition into green energy.
In ensuring that fossil fuel workers are supported in transitioning into green energy sectors,
I think
maybe?
that works.
Yeah.
The sectors adds.
I believe that captures it.
And not to wordsmith too much, but you probably don't even need that. You could just take ensuring fossil fuel. You probably don't even need that.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy, and thank you, others. Do I need to make a motion to approve this bullet?
So there seems to be broad agreement in the amendment, but we do need to make a motion to approve the entire thing as amended.
Well, I think procedures would be to add the amendment and then move to add the whole. So I would move to amend draft recommendation 1 first.
And
I
I would say,
Great, it passes. So next up is there a motion to approve as amended?
I move to approve draft recommendation 1 as amended.
and I second.
Great. Is there any opposition? Okay. Hearing none, it looks like we have broad agreement in moving forward with recommendation 1. Should we take a roll call on getting yeses? Or do folks feel comfortable with all the yays?
It seems unanimous. I didn't hear anybody speak up against it, although they should if they have an issue.
Okay, great. So moving on to the second recommendation here. Again, a lot of these are not a surprise to folks here that have been attending these meetings. The second recommendation here is that we want to support just transition principles being implemented in new projects, new infrastructure projects, and that includes following best practices regarding labor and providing prevailing wages, and this includes considerations like those mentioned in HB 297, which includes support for existing law regarding labor. And generally, this recommendation is looking to provide job security and support for new and existing decarbonization projects. The history, I can give a little bit of background. This came from us at MDE staff trying to put a recommendation forward based on the survey responses that said people cared about quality jobs.
I move to accept draft recommendation number 2.
Quickly, I think that should be HB 397.
I think you're right. I think so I just did that's just a typo from our end. Thank you for letting us know.
I second Delegate Boyce's motion.
Great. Is there any opposition against moving forward with approving this recommendation? Hearing none, this recommendation is approved. And let me take a look at the chat. Okay, that was just Rico, HB 397, which we just heard about in our last meeting. All right, recommendation 3. We have, this was also in response to the survey that we sent out. We have that we would support an outreach campaign for apprenticeship programs relating to clean energy. This has been amended slightly from the last time you heard this recommendation to better incorporate feedback that we received from the Department of Labor. They let us know that they have a lot of existing apprenticeship programs like the ones that you heard in our update. But they also let us know that a lot of their programs aren't specifically targeted towards clean energy projects or specific certifications. So this amended language is meant to capture the support for clean energy specific type training and workforce support. I'll let everyone read it.
This is Khalid Malik. Electrical audits, is that correct?
It says where?
Energy related apprenticeships, including electrical audits. Is that properly termed?
Yes. So the thinking could be that apprenticeships could support things like energy audits, and they could receive the certification needed to do those energy audits. So this could be kind of, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Cindy. I just want to clarify. I may be nitpicking a bit, but when it says, again, workforce development and training to recruit segments of the population who may be, well, no, sorry. I don't have I'm looking at this through a phone because I'm traveling, but the programs that specialize in clean energy workforce development and training to recruit segments. No, back up. Carbonation upgrades, two-prong approach. Clean energy technologies. Okay, I think I'm okay. Sorry.
We did get a comment on this one over email just before this meeting, and it came from our member Suzanne Koski. I'm trying to find it. Stephanie, could you please find the one line and put it in here?
Yes. It's not fully thought out, but I'll paste it at the bottom here. It's mainly geared toward this underrepresented portion, and Suzanne recommended that we expand that a bit more.
So Suzanne indicated support for this recommendation, and I'm sharing the feedback that she provided us, namely that she would like to add in language to include and support previously incarcerated persons.
Just a question, does not, quote unquote, populations that may be underrepresented, capture those individuals?
In my mind, yes, but we could specifically call it out for special support.
Then maybe just amending it instead of that whole sentence, just amending it to say the last portion, segments of the population who may be underrepresented, including economically marginalized communities, previous incarcerated persons in the clean energy workforce.
Thank you, Senator Mount's office, for joining us.
And I have a quick question. Sorry, I got kicked out for about a minute.
Yeah, go ahead, Delegate David.
On the section that says campaigns would partner with pre-apprenticeship, apprenticeship, and other programs that specialize in clean energy workforce development. Do we need to, and this is kind of a question out there, do we emphasize or put in there anywhere where folks are in education? For example, there are programs that I know in my county that are high school programs for high school students that want to get into the trades. Also, some of the colleges that want to get into the trades as well. So I don't know if we need to specifically call out some of those educational institutions in general to make sure that we're also reaching out to maybe some of the community colleges and some of the high schools that have, electrician, plumbing, that kind of thing. Some big engineering. That's more of a question for the group. I'm not necessarily wed to adding something. I just was more thinking, does anybody think that we need to drill down on that a little bit to make sure?
Yeah, the sentence, the campaign would partner with pre-apprenticeship, apprenticeship, and other programs that specialize in clean energy workforce development. Yeah, one thing that aligns with that Civic Works tried to articulate in our feedback is this idea that there are many high quality jobs in the clean energy sector that offer, viable career pathways that aren't necessarily associated with the formal apprenticeship pathway and maybe more entry focused like that. And maybe something that just speaks to, capturing clean energy career fields with high quality jobs that provide family sustaining wages, more broadly. And if it was of value to, speak specifically to, training programs in schools, that would be fine as well. But something that just captures it a little more broadly.
Yeah. This is Lawrence Peters from Next Generation. We're working with a pre-apprenticeship program. That may be a term of art that we could use. It's not fully established yet, but we have partnerships with some high schools and IBEW. And these are 18-year-olds who may or may not get into full registered apprenticeship programs, depending on how they do in an intensive 5-week course, which will include health and safety issues and other things, and career exposure to various clean energy jobs, and to see if they would, undergo some kind of apprenticeship following that 5-week experience. So pre-apprenticeship is what I'm suggesting is maybe a term that we could include there.
So the thought is we don't need to add anything about high schools or community colleges.
I think it's worth including. think there's growing interest in the county for Montgomery County, I'm sure in other counties, for trying to connect students more with with opportunities that don't necessarily require 4-year degrees. I think that's been a trend generally across the nation, and this Maryland's following that trend and providing more, high quality opportunities that suggest that trades are are not a second class option, but have value as well. So
That
I think
makes
the
it,
statement would show alignment to the Maryland Blueprint for Education.
yes, agreed.
yeah, I mean, that's exactly my point, is that I think there seems to be a lot of conversation going around nationally about colleges and who needs to go to college, and not everybody needs to earn a specific like liberal arts or degree, 4-year degree. And there's just a lot of conversation, good, bad, and different. I'm not saying one or the other, but as a result, I think a lot of students are starting to look at community college more and apprenticeship programs. And so that's why I just wonder whether we could slip in kind of educational institutions, like outreach to educational institutions as well, so that they're not left behind.
I think it makes perfect sense. There's a number of community colleges, as you've already said, that are already incorporating green certification programs and clean energy programs into their
Yeah,
They're-
exactly.
continuing ed programs.
Thank you.
Yes, this is Khalid again. We're using the term micro credentials. So when you have like an abbreviated training or something specific that doesn't require a 2-year or 4-year degree, that's just some additional terminology I'd like to share with the group to consider. And also, just going back, and maybe I missed this earlier, but is clean energy, is that inclusive of efficiency and renewables, or is that just focused on renewables? The term clean energy.
It's a very good question.
In this case, it's inclusive.
Okay, so that goes back to the including electrical audits, because it's just not about electrical, you have mechanical systems. And so I would suggest the term energy audits, just to kind of be inclusive of efficiency and renewables and resiliency, because those are all related to the audit process, not just electrical.
Yeah, I agree with that too, Khalid.
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about climate change and resiliency, some of the first orders of business are reduce, like, reduce, reuse, reduce your electrical footprint. And then if you're going to build out a solar system or some kind of system, then you can build out a more accurate system based on what your electrical needs are, as opposed to building out a system that's greater than your electrical needs because you are inefficient home or business.
Nicola?
Hi, this is Nicola Tran with DHCD, and this is my first time on this group meeting, so I'm sorry if I missed some of the information that was previously discussed, but who would be in charge of this campaign? It doesn't state here who would lead the campaign. I don't know if that is on purpose, that there is no designated party, or just wanted to get a little bit more background.
I can jump in on this one a little bit. So the natural kind of party in my mind is the Maryland Department of Labor. They're not specifically called out because there are other agencies that work on these types of programs and initiatives. So naturally, Nicola, HCD is connected with weatherization, but I wasn't really thinking of them being the lead party here. So likely Maryland Department of Labor, but with potential collaboration or other leadership by other agencies. The one that also comes to mind, the manager couldn't attend this meeting today, but has indicated a lot of interest in this working group, is the, forgive me if I get the name wrong, it's a new agency, the Department of Civic Innovation and Service.
Okay. Thank you. So it is intentional that it is kept open at this point, and then, it would be just designated later on.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I put in the chat just the resource for the specific purpose. There is NREL set up a national platform that's called Green Workforce Connect, where the specific purpose is supporting efforts like this to connect potential trainees or employees with open green jobs, apprenticeships, or training opportunities. And I think that's something, you don't have to specify in a recommendation, but maybe just to keep in mind.
That's really helpful. Thank you so much.
Cindy, I don't know if we're getting off topic. I know we've just dropped a lot on you over the past few exchanges. Do we need to circle back on making any edits? I know everyone's kind of have their thoughts and you're trying to, balance the time.
Yeah, so I did kind of want to just make a quick connection, just that Nicola made me kind of realize during the first meeting, I did give an overview of the different bills that became law. One of them is a warm fact, which I've already mentioned. The other one is HB 864 relating to energy efficiency. That's just an exciting kind of thing separate from this particular meeting, but just wanted to draw attention that Nicola is doing amazing work under the Empower program for DHCD and low income programs at DHCD. But coming back to your comment, Khalid, we can amend electrical audits to say energy audits. And I heard a second from at least one other member. So amend that piece. And then we also heard interest from member Delegate David on adding in support for outreach for community colleges and other higher education, but I'm not sure I have the language in my mind quite yet.
I would just say other institutes of education, including high schools and colleges, something along those lines, just so we at least capture those. And I think somebody else had something.
So for the first line, Stephanie, let's try to capture that somehow. So proposes Green Jobs Outreach Campaign in 2025 that reaches, that includes higher education and community colleges.
Yeah, or I was thinking even, further down where it says the campaign would partner with apprenticeship, institutions of education or higher learning, something like that. Institutions of education. That probably captures it. Basically, I want to go. I want to make sure that there's some outreach to high schools and community colleges.
Yeah, that should be institutions of higher education.
Yeah, but then does that include high schools? That's why I backed off of higher, because I wasn't sure whether it include high
school. Where you're going. I see where you're going with this.
There's a ton of kids graduating from high school that have no idea what they want to do with their lives. Some of them are going to college, some of them aren't. Some of them are going to college and wondering why they're there and then leaving after a year. Thinking, anyway.
Yeah, no, I think this is a great opportunity to highlight the service year option program that's in place now, going into its second cycle that starts September 11th. This is something that Governor Moore started last year. And so I think that's that bridge that you're referring to, Representative David, where, it's high school students, they're in transition, they're, interested in the industry, but, they need to get, some sort of, postgraduate education and then kind of determine if they want to continue into a four-year university or stay within the field. So I don't know how specific we need to be in terms of programs, but the SYO program is certainly something that captures your thoughts.
Yeah, so I would say I feel very comfortable with the language thus far, and I'm not hearing new language that we haven't yet addressed. Khalid, I'm hearing you say potentially add in specific language. In my mind, we don't have to do that since we're already kind of saying that we support existing programs. Khalid, does that make sense?
Sure, yeah. If everybody's comfortable with that. Oh, by the way, I didn't hear my name on the initial roll call either. So
Oh, we will capture your attendance, Khalid. Thank you. Rico? Rico, if you're talking, we cannot hear you.
No, I'm not talking. I just wanted to mention, I do think that the main purpose of this group is to talk about the just transition for workers, and in my mind, that's folks that are already in the workforce, and not as much emphasis on students in high school and the institutions. I don't have any problem with the language that we've added, but I do think it's, in my mind, that's the main purpose. I could be misunderstanding it though.
I
Rico,
agree.
I agree as well. I think it's in my mind, and folks can let me know if you think otherwise, but in my mind it's an element that we can support, but that we shouldn't kind of prioritize or focus on.
Yeah, I'm good with just institutions of education. That's all I needed. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Okay, so we have some good language here in front of us. We do have one more recommendation that we want to go through. Does anyone make a motion? I'll make a motion to move forward as well. First, I'll make a motion to approve all of the current amendments.
Second.
Second.
Great. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, we'll move into approving of the entire recommendation. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Great. It passes. Woo! Feel like we should have celebratory emojis every time a recommendation passes. Great. So the last recommendation here. So this one is new, and we wanted to make sure to have some time to go through this very last one. So we have been kind of mentioning in passing that there are already existing programs. So this recommendation very specifically tries to identify those existing programs to provide targeted support. Those being the Department of Labor's Employment Advancement right now, the EARN program, Registered Apprenticeship Program, and the Maryland Works for Win program, which we had heard a presentation on a couple of months ago. And then generally, the idea is to support solar, wind, geothermal, electrification, and other clean energy sectors. And I'll let everyone take a moment to read here. Delegate?
Thank you. I remembered what I had to say, and I think this highlighted it again. There is a perception that these quote unquote green jobs are so new that, like, folks have to be trained in them, or there's folks that can't do them. They're nothing more than electrical jobs and steel work steel jobs and their construction, essentially basic construction jobs. So I guess what I haven't seen is talking about the expansion of current apprenticeships versus saying creating new apprenticeships. Because one of the lessons that I've learned is like, for instance, solar panels. They're not they're a form of um, uh, an electrician's work. And so they already know how to do that quote unquote electrician work. So it's an expansion of the work they do. It's not necessarily a new industry. So I think as I've been going through this, and I think it was the recommendation number 2 that I couldn't remember what I was saying. It feels like we're treating this as if like it's a whole new skill, it's a whole new industry, when it's essentially an expansion of current kind of like workforce, current apprenticeships, a current specific skills. Am I making any sense?
Absolutely, you are. Early on in the conversation, we had raised that, changing from fossil fuel furnaces over to heat pumps and such, steam fitters and pipe fitters and HVAC technicians have been doing this type of work for decades. And, we're here to, offer our services for our apprenticeship. We can certainly help grow this industry. And, we've been here for, as I've said early on, our apprenticeship program has been registered in the state of Maryland since the 80s. And we're more than willing to continue to grow our program to support this.
Yes, this is Khalid again. I want to just comment. It sounds like we're talking about matching skill sets. I think we mentioned earlier about the fossil fuel transition and, taking those profiles of those types of positions, whether they're existing, and then, creating some sort of bridge in terms of identifying how, these particular, fossil fuel workers can integrate into, what's these opportunities, these electrical opportunities, anything specific to clean energy workforce. So, I would suggest some language about matching skill sets in the transition.
Yes, I think we call those transferable skills.
Okay, great.
I certainly agree with you. Thank you so much. That's awesome.
So perhaps that first line, we amended to say proposes additional strategic investments into supporting expanded programs that support transferable skills. Such as the programs listed here.
I'm sorry, one more time, Cindy.
The working group proposes strategic investments into expanded programs that support transferable skills. Work in progress.
Yeah, I would say expanding current registered apprenticeships programs. Yes, yes. Maybe if I see it typed, then I can wordsmith. But yes.
To include expanding current registered apprenticeship programs to include existing fossil fuel workers with transferable skill sets, or
Sorry, could you say that one more time, Khalid?
Oh, wow. Expanding to include fossil fuel industry workers with fossil fuel with existing transferable skills. I don't know if it's getting too convoluted.
This looks good to me. It can include fossil fuel workers by definition.
Yes.
Chanel, since we have you here, does this look good to you? Your agency is called.
Yeah, I completely agree with it all. I think that was the mindset we had going into it, is that, you know, nothing new was being created, but just investing in what workforce training is already being done that supports clean energy.
For me, the proven workforce model is the key language.
Rico, does that mean you wanted to highlight it or do anything with any of the language?
No, no, no. I'm sorry. I was just commenting that I think it's important. I was just sort of seconding what Chanel was saying.
Okay, so not hearing any other motions for amendments. I'm hearing some general agreement. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the amendment?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Great. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the entire recommendation?
Again, so moved.
Second.
Great. So not hearing any disagreement, all of our recommendations have now passed. I am really excited that we were able to capture your feedback, and we'll be reporting back out to this group as we move along on how the recommendations process goes. We'll also be reporting back out on the outcome of the other working groups. This will be in a month or two from now, so stay tuned. But we have completed the biggest portion of our agenda today, which was to review the recommendations. Does anyone have any questions regarding the process or any next steps?
Cindy, I just want to take this opportunity just to round nose a little bit and thank you for your leadership and MDE's leadership on this. This has certainly been a lot, and I appreciate the capturing of all of our thoughts, all of our concern, all of our adjustments to make this really a strong process and a recommendation. So I just want to thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'm so excited to be working with you. I hope that we continue to listen well to your feedback, and looking forward to continuing to engage with everyone.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy.
Take care.
Cindy, do we need public comment period?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, so we completed our recommendations portion, but we do have time for public comment if anyone would like to make a public comment. Hearing none, we can close the meeting. Thank you again, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great
good weekend.
Good holidays.
Thanks, Cindy. Thanks, all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.